So you're intrigued by the idea of finding out more about your personal family tree and your family history. And you've heard about all these genealogy websites like Ancestry, MyHeritage, FamilySearch. Pretty quickly, it can get confusing to decide between them. And frankly, it can kind of break the budget if you try to use all of them. So, which genealogy website should you be using? In this episode of Elevenses with Lisa, we're going to answer that question. I'm Louise Cooke, and it's great to have you here at Genealogy Gems, where we strive to provide you with really the best information we can find, innovation, some innovative ideas, and some inspiration to help you grow your family tree. I'm going to do my best to try to answer this question because it's one that I get quite often. And I think all of us at some point, kind of question ourselves. Am I really using the right website? Have I made the right choice? Am I spending my money in the right place? That's what we're going to take care of today. So this is episode 80. And you can find the show notes at genealogygems.com/elevenses. And for those of you who are premium members, you've got a downloadable ad-free cheat sheet for this entire episode. Okay. So not too long ago, I got one of what have been many over the years questions from listeners and viewers. And this one came from Seymour, and I just think it kind of sums up what many of us deal with. He says, hi, Lisa, I'm really confused. And since I follow you on YouTube regularly and I've purchased some of your books, I think you might be able to help me. I have been a member of Ancestry.com for about 6+ years. And I use them as my primary genealogy site for my family tree. I also last year became a subscriber to FamilySearch.com, which is actually .org, just to be clear on that. I was able to merge my tree from Ancestry.com into FamilySearch. Now, here's where I'm second guessing myself. I am having some difficulty getting used to how FamilySearch works. Well, I can appreciate that because they all work a little differently. He says, I've read some blog posts, I guess, on different sites that mention that they don't have the most accurate information in their hints, etc. But with that said, I understand that things change and technology can make some sites easier to operate within them than they were before. And I've noticed lately that you've been referring to myheritage.com, and he didn't really know anything about MyHeritage. So he says, my big question is, would it be advantageous, in your opinion, for me to switch over to MyHeritage before I get too involved with FamilySearch.org? Or is it just that MyHeritage has the newest technology working in their favor right now, and that could change? Well, that's a really great question. Have you ever felt like you just weren't sure where to get involved with these websites? I'm going to share my opinions and strategies on this really important topic. And this comes from really a lifetime of doing genealogy. I started when I was about 8 years old, and I've been doing it professionally for about 15 years. So I definitely don't have all the answers, but I've learned a lot of things along the way. And if it helps you feel more secure about your choices and more confident about that, and hopefully more successful, then that's all that matters. So just keep in mind, there's no right or wrong answers, but I think I've got a pretty good solid answer for you on this one. So all the big genealogy websites, Ancestry, FamilySearch, MyHeritage, Find My Past, they would love to have you use their website primarily. In fact, they wouldn't mind if they were the only website that you used. Obviously, that's why people create websites, is they want you to use theirs and they don't want you to bounce off and go, 6 different directions. If you are a premium member and you've watched my Google search methodology, I've talked about this, that it's really important to understand that concept, that everything about a website is designed to keep you there. And so that doesn't always mean that that's in your best interest, though. So that's what we have to kind of keep in mind. And really, it's not practical because in reality, all the genealogy websites have strengths and they have weaknesses. So we need to understand those in order to know what fits us best. So my goal here is to help you kind of shift your paradigm, kind of get out of the box in terms of how you've been thinking about it. And I can appreciate that perhaps how you've been thinking about it has been very much influenced by the marketing of many of the genealogy websites, which is totally understandable. But I do think that we have to look at it differently because obviously they would love to have you just use the one site. Let's think about it a little bit differently, kind of getting outside of the genealogy box and think about a carpenter. Okay, a carpenter who was really serious about building great furniture is going to have a shop full of tools. My husband doesn't even build furniture, and he has a shop full of tools because you never know what task is going to come up next week, what you're going to have to fix around the house, and you got to have the right tools. So if you asked a carpenter which one is the best tool, he'd probably ask you, well, what are you trying to build? Right? That makes sense. In fact, that's a really great question. If you're trying to hammer a nail, you need a hammer, a really great hammer. But a hammer is not going to do you a lot of good if you're trying to make sure that the shelf that you're installing is level, right? So it's the same concept when it comes to genealogy websites. And if you think about it, that's what we're doing too. We're building family history. We're building our legacy. We're building our tree. We need a variety of tools. Okay. So in the end, we have a goal. We want to pass on that family history to future generations. And that means it's really, really important to do it on your own computer. And yes, that's my lovely family from Thanksgiving. I hope you had a wonderful Thanksgiving. So here's the thing. You have to be in control. You have to have your own shop, right? And your computer is kind of your own shop, and you have to have tools that you bring into it. So in order for you to really build it and keep it, we need to have it on our own computer. If we just put our information onto a genealogy website, then we don't have control over it. And if you've been watching this show for a while, this is probably not a new idea to you, but it's one that I continually drive home because so many folks, when they first get involved in genealogy, maybe they see a commercial on TV and they get the free app. Let's say they get an Ancestry app. Well, that app is going to encourage them to start building that tree right away on the app. But right there, know it or not, you've just handed over control of your tree. And you've started down the path of getting locked into that one genealogy site. And like Seymour, who wrote me, you might start to question yourself. Oh my gosh, am I in the right place? Well, now I've invested so much time, I don't feel like I can change. Do you ever feel like that? Put that in the comments if you've ever wondered that. We want to build our family history so that it lives at our house, okay? This is ours, and we don't know which websites are going to be around years and years from now, right? Have you ever seen one kind of come and go and get purchased and acquired and, get attached to different websites? It happens all the time. Genealogy websites are tools. I hope that this really helps kind of shift things for you. So if you do it on your own computer, it's going to set you free. Okay? It really kind of takes the burden out of all of this decision making because we want to keep that control. We want to have our family history living in our own home. And so the answer to the question, which website should you use? The one that's right for the task. I know it's not a cop-out. It's really true. And I'm going to help you through this. So the one that's right for the task, and that task, like putting up a shelf or hammering a nail, is going to change. It's going to change a lot. Have you noticed that as you go through different lines of your family tree, oh my gosh, some are way over in Pennsylvania and some are out in California and some are over in Germany or Ireland. They're all over the map. the more we dig through the centuries. Wow, they're really all over the map. So our needs are going to change. So I hope that clears things up a little bit. So let's talk about what kind of tasks, and I'm going to help you navigate. We're going to compare a little bit some of these websites, and I'm going to really help you do this on a budget. Okay, promise. So hang with me here. Genealogists want to find genealogical records and information, right? That's our evidence. And while one website might prompt you and give you hints, or say here's records you should be looking at, that could be based on erroneous information from somebody else's tree or your tree or whatever. So we want to get out there and find the right record for what we're looking to answer. And we want to be able to analyze what we're finding in order to draw maybe some conclusions. We probably do want to create a family tree, right? So we want to be able to see it all in one picture, see the pedigree chart, the descendancy chart. So we need to see the whole thing. And very likely, we want to do even more than that. We may want to write up some of the stories, right? Create some shareable content that we can share with other people. Gosh, it's kind of a shame if we just keep it for ourselves. So maybe we want to create some scrapbooks. We've talked here on the show about how to create free videos. Really easy to do and so compelling. I mean, everybody loves a great video story, and if it's about them or their family, all the better. You might want to do framed art or books or have a digital database, which I highly recommend. Super important. However, it isn't practical to think that you can subscribe to every genealogy website resource. And also, may I say that just because they offer a particular tool doesn't mean that that's best done on their website and maybe not on your computer. Okay? So keep that in mind. We need to evaluate whether a website can meet our needs. And that's what I want to help you do now. I want to talk through comparing some of the biggest websites so you kind of know what they have to offer and how to decide, at this point in your research, is this really the right one for you? So let's talk about evaluating these websites. Now, the first thing I would say is as you're going through this process and you're looking at the records they have, if you think, okay, well, this subscription has great stuff that I want, one of the first questions I would ask is just double check, is the content or that tool available somewhere else for free? There's a very good chance that it is. I would really recommend, particularly when you're on a tight budget, check out episode 21. That's called Free Genealogy, right? Pretty straightforward. It really gives you my strategy for identifying which records are available and whether they're available for free or not somewhere else. Why does that happen? It happens because for many of these websites, they just can't pull all these records off themselves. Okay, it's very expensive and it's very time consuming to acquire genealogical records. And oh my gosh, they're from a variety of sources everywhere, right? You've done it yourself. You've gone to the county courthouse, the library, the archive, there's just a million websites. So for them to be able to do that acquisition, oftentimes they're partnering together. Or they're taking different pieces of the puzzle. Like some of them are creating the digital images while somebody else is working on the index, and then they kind of share those across their platforms. So some may have those available for free while others are making that part of their subscription. So that's a good question. This episode 21 would really help you walk through that if you haven't kind of not sure where to start on how to figure that out. Then once you've kind of determined, okay, well, really, this is unique. This is something that's available only at this website. We need to determine which genealogy subscription has what you need. There are several. We could talk about tons of them. There's so many really specialized websites that maybe specialize in old newspaper records or military records, all that kind of stuff. I want to focus in our short period of time together in this video to really focus in on the biggest ones, because these are going to be the most expensive. They're going to require the most out of you financially. And they're going to have a ton to take a look at and evaluate. So Ancestry, FamilySearch, Find My Past, My Heritage. We kind of call those the genealogy giants around here at Genealogy Gems. And it's because they are giant and they're massive collections. But even more than that, they're probably the best known, and they often have the most different kinds of tools. So all of them offer historical records. And I think when we're making choices about where to spend our money, it should be primarily about, do they have the records you need? Okay, the historical records. Now, they all offer online family trees, but I think that if we let that go and you get your own genealogy software database on your computer, that eliminates that as the big problem. You can certainly put your tree on these sites. I have modified versions. I have smaller pieces of my tree on multiple sites. And that helps generate the hints that they do. It might help me facilitate collaborating with somebody else. It just makes it convenient when I'm on the website and I want to just double check something. It is a little bit more work. It is, because I'm putting all of my evidence, my source citations, my conclusions into my database on my computer. And there are several good ones out there. They're all pretty equal. They've been around a long time. There's Roots Magic and Legacy and Family Tree Maker. Reunion, I think, is still out there from Mac. So there's several of them there. We've talked about them on my website, Genealogy Gems. But the thing is that you need to get it into your own database, and then that will free you up. And sometimes you can sync. Many people will sync their family tree with their database as well. You can do that. I don't do that. I think it's a headache. But I do have kind of core branches, and I really focus on my direct ancestors on the websites like My Heritage and Ancestry. And it's important to understand too, there is a difference here, big difference between some of the big players. Most of them allow you to build your own individual family tree. FamilySearch is a collaborative tree. This is one where you're working with other people. So you're not creating a bunch of different trees that you want that are individually yours, that you can mark private or public, like you can at Ancestry or My Heritage. But FamilySearch is going to be collaborative. And I think that's what Seymour was talking about when he was a little concerned about the accuracy of what he's finding out there. The truth is, there's mistakes in all trees, in all websites. Even mine. Absolutely, for sure. I'm sure there's a mistake out there. And so we can take those with a grain of salt. We can use them to generate hints, but hints are not conclusions. We have to evaluate the evidence that we get from our hints. So I really think that having your tree on your computer is going to discipline you to not put so much weight on that and not feel restricted to picking a website because it has your only family tree on it. I hope it doesn't have your only family tree. And all of these also offer mobile apps. Those are free. Now, if it's a subscription website, then you're going to have to be able to sign in. You're going to have a paid subscription in order to use many of the features on the mobile app. Of course, we mentioned some of this content that these big players have overlaps. And that happens quite often. So just know that when you're looking at something on one doesn't mean it's not on another, but they all have really unique content. And wow, if that's the piece that you need, that's really important. It's important to know which one it's on. That's really often the deciding factor when it comes to which site are you going to spend your money on. Now, there are excellent genealogy websites out there that focus on specific countries. And so I'm going to kind of Find My Past out of the mix. And they do have records for the US. They do have records in other countries. But primarily their focus is the British Isles. So they're going to have great stuff for England and Ireland. And, that's wonderful. They do have a growing collection in the U.S., but it is smaller. And they don't have as many tools. So we're going to kind of move them out of the mix. And they're not the only ones. If you're researching in Sweden or in Germany or in France, absolutely go Google it. There are many different, very focused websites on just those countries. And again, they may have exactly what you need. That makes them the most important and the one to pick. But we're going to focus on these three that I think all of us have heard about, that for many of us watching, if you're doing not just US, but international, you need a really big website. And this is one of the subscriptions you're considering. We're going to focus on these three for this episode. So Ancestry, FamilySearch, and MyHeritage, all of them offer their top tier users billions of historical records. And really at this point from around the world, they're all international in scope. They have very powerful, very flexible search interfaces with lots of bells and whistles and extra features. I think they're all very competitive in that respect. And they have family tree building tools. We talked about putting your online family tree. You can do that. And you can do just a portion of your tree. Some people even just test theories by putting out a tree that they're not even proven yet. That can help generate hints and that kind of thing. And of course, they all have help sections and tutorials. They've got, videos that you can watch. So they're all kind of pretty equal in that respect. But they do have their strengths and weaknesses in each of these areas. So understanding the strengths and the weaknesses is going to help you make the decision. And here's the thing. As I said, your genealogy research needs are going to change. It's inevitable. So as you're climbing your family tree, I'm going to encourage you to stay flexible, okay? And hopefully after this session together, you're going to really know a lot more about what your options are. And I have a couple of strategies for you for how you can exert this flexibility to really get the most of it and to be able to use different sites at different times. So let's do a quick high-level comparison of the top three that we're talking about here: Ancestry, MyHeritage, and FamilySearch. So Ancestry is a U.S. company. It actually started originally as kind of a publishing company in the genealogical industry. It's huge. Now it's grown tremendously. A lot of that growth was through acquisition. And so that means that today you're going to find that Ancestry owns Find a Grave. It owns Fold3, which is the military site. It owns newspapers.com. They do have newspapers at Ancestry, but then the much larger, extensive collection is over at Newspapers. And so that means that they do have some free records as well, and you can get a free account. So that will give you access to a limited number of free records just to kind of get your feet wet. And if you want to know more about using Ancestry and accessing those free records, episode 17, my top tips for Ancestry searching is the show to go to. And don't worry, in the show notes for this episode, which is number 80, can you believe it's 80 already? I have links for all of these episodes that I'm referring you to. And you can also find them at genealogygems.com/Elevenses and here at the YouTube channel. It's really probably best to find them at the website because you're going to get the articles along with them. So they do have a limited number of free records that you can access. And because of all these different options, Ancestry has quite a few different paid subscription tiers. So it's good to look through those. And you don't always have to do a full year. You could just do 6 months. You could do the world subscription, or you could just focus on the US. You might want to say, really, right now, I want to just work on the newspapers. Skip Ancestry and go to newspapers.com and subscribe to them. In terms of Ancestry's strengths, I think that DNA is really one of the areas they shine. They are the leader in the DNA space, and particularly when it comes to matches. The reason for that is they have really the most testers. In terms of the genealogy websites, where you can also find these trees, and that's linked up with the DNA matches and all the different community tools and all that. Ancestry is really the one with the largest testing pool, which means you're going to have the chance of finding the most matches, at least right now. So episode 62, you can listen to me talk with Krista Cowan from Ancestry about specifically DNA, and she's got some great strategies for you there on that episode as well. FamilySearch. Okay, so this is a nonprofit website that's sponsored by the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and it's affiliated with the huge Family History Library in Salt Lake City, Utah. If you've ever been to Salt Lake City, that's a must visit. It's an incredible place for family history and genealogy, and you can just go in there for free and just have at it. It's wonderful. And that's the difference. That's the big defining difference between FamilySearch and the rest of them. It's free. Now, FamilySearch.org. Again, links in the show notes, but it's not a .com, it's a .org. It's a nonprofit. So free makes it kind of a no-brainer to always use it in your back pocket. That's one of your top tools. And in episode 64, we go into a lot of in-depth strategies for using it. Seymour was saying in his email, that he found FamilySearch a little daunting. And I think that they have a good user interface, but they have changed it a lot over the years, a lot. And so I think it's that kind of evolution. Every time you go there, you feel like something looks a little different, or you have to go somewhere else to find what you used to find this place. That can be challenging. I find it frustrating, and I've been doing this for years. So I think that could be part of the issue. But once you've kind of put it on your radar and said, FamilySearch is going to be always a go-to because it's free. Why not? Well, you're going to be there a lot more often. And I think that regular visiting and usage is what's going to help you build confidence and get more comfortable with it. That way, when they move something, you can kind of think logically about, well, where would that go now? Or follow the paths. You get used to how a website lays out their structure. They do require an account and a login. So even though you're not paying for a subscription, you do need a free account. And you need that in order to log in and start really digging into your records and looking at the tree and all that kind of stuff. If you're looking for international research, particularly, South American genealogical documents are growing really quickly at FamilySearch. That makes it really a top site for you because it has such an international scope. And I think this also, they were really in a really good position because before they even got the website going, for decades, they have been traveling the world with cameras and taking imagery, microfilming and then digitizing records from all over the world. And they have family history centers all over the world. So that really makes them strong in terms of international research. All right, so MyHeritage. We talked about MyHeritage not that long ago for a whole episode 63. That was my 10 don't miss features at MyHeritage. They've got some great features. This is a company out of Israel. They started as a family tree website. Originally, it was just about, hey, here's a place to build your family tree. And wow, it's grown a lot since then. They, too, have really great strength internationally. And I want to say, in particular, what's so critical about them is that their user base is really international. We might just we hear about it here in the U.S., but let me tell you that it's really popular around the world. And why does that make a difference? It makes a difference because if you are looking to potentially connect with other researchers who are looking at some of the same lines in your tree, you're very likely to find somebody who's actually from that country. That happened to me. It was amazing because I'd been working on my German line for so many years. And I've never connected with anybody who actually still lives back in that same area of Germany until I got to MyHeritage. And that was so exciting. And I tell you, it was as exciting for my German relative as it was for me because we had been on other websites, but there we found each other at in MyHeritage. So that is really an advantage if you want to try to make those kind of international connections. Now, they do have a free account, and that's required to kind of check out their free collections. Again, as I mentioned, the subscription websites all have smaller subsets, kind of a free collections, and I've talked about that there as well. So you still need to log in to kind of look through those free records, and they too offer a variety of subscription tiers. So depending on what you want to do, which tools you want to use, you can go for it. For me, if I was going to do MyHeritage, which I do, I would do the complete plan, which is the big plan, because it really includes everything. And one of the things that sets them really apart are their photo tools. If photos are important to you, if you want to find more photos, if you want to work with the photos that you already have, MyHeritage, that's their strength. So they have unique photo tools. We've shown them here on the show before. We've talked about they have now the photo enhancing and correction, colorization. Oh my gosh, they can even animate the faces of your ancestors in photographs. It's incredible. So if working with your old family photos or potentially finding others is important to you, check out MyHeritage. That's their strength. And the beauty of those tools, let me just remind you that even if you don't want to use those yourself, they are such a massive attraction to all the other people doing family history out there. Those people are uploading their photos, millions upon millions, because they want to use the photo tools. And that means many, many of those photos are available to find for you. And, at some point we're all connected, right? So, you're very likely to be able to find old photos within your family tree that you haven't seen before, which I just think is incredible. They do also have a couple of other really important, unique features I think that are important to mention, and one is the free software. So I was beating you over the head with about the fact that you need to get your own genealogy software. If you don't want to spend money on that, although they're not very expensive typically, maybe $20, $30, get the free software, the Family Tree Builder at MyHeritage. And you can do that. You do not have to have a paid subscription to download their free software. So take advantage of that. And of course, if you use theirs and you decide you're going to do a subscription with them, then they will synchronize, which is very nice and makes it much easier. They also have a family website feature, which I think is kind of unique. If you're looking for a way to get the rest of the family on board, or at least somehow paying attention or interested in what you're finding in your genealogy, the family website is a nice place to be able to give them a link to say, hey, you don't have to have a subscription or anything, but you can come and see our family website and have a little communication tool there. So that's kind of a nice feature. On the show notes page for this episode, number 80, I'll have more comparative information about the family trees, about the DNA, the mobile app, all that kind of stuff. Check out the show notes. But let's get real. Historical records is our primary focus. You really want the records that are going to help you make the discoveries, answer the questions, and get back another generation. The thing about comparing these big websites, and really all websites for genealogy, is that it's almost impossible to do it apples to apples. And because here's the question. If you have a death certificate, each one of these genealogy websites that might have this death certificate, you have to ask the question, is that a single record? When they say I've got 10 billion records, is that a record? Well, in reality, for many of these websites, they're actually considering that each person named on this record, this death certificate, that's a record for them, right? So it's not really just counting names, but it's if this document records something about this person, tells you that on this date they were alive, on this date they were an informant on this person's death certificate, and so they were from this location. It tells the location here. This doctor was still in practice. He signed this document. Those are really individual records. So when you see the record number counts, just know that sometimes they're talking about we have a page, like a newspaper page. But sometimes, it could be dozens of records within a single document. How are you going to sort through that? Well, the good news is that all three of these big sites that we're talking about, they have such vast collections that the numbers aren't important. Trust me, they're all in the billions as far as these folks are concerned. And you're going to just be able to find something. So don't worry too much about looking at them and saying, well, they have 25 billion, they've got 10 billion. Oh, I think I really want 25 billion more. But 25 billion records that don't line up with your family tree don't help you, right? So it's really about the records that help. And the good news is they're adding new stuff every single day. What really matters is that the site that you pick has the collections and the records that are going to be helpful to you. And one thing to be aware of as you're evaluating them is, do they have the images of the actual records, or do they have just an index? Sometimes we run into just the index, but oftentimes at least that index will tell you where you can access that record. So how do you find out? So step one is to find what you are trying to find, to determine what you're trying to find. Identify your goal. Okay? A lot of us, I'm guilty of it. You go and you pull up your app, or you go to the website and you just go, oh, there's a hint. Oh, I realized I left off there. I'm gonna try to dig around and see what I can find. That's fun, but it's very haphazard and it doesn't really help you move forward efficiently and really accurately, because you want to start with yourself and you want to move backward, right? So knowing your goal, take a moment, figure out what it is you're trying to accomplish, and identify which family line you want to work on. And when and where did they live? Okay, we need that context. When and where did they live? If you've struggled with this idea of a research plan or a research question, setting goals for yourself, I have 2 episodes that will help you tremendously. The second one we ever did here on the Genealogy Gems YouTube channel was episode number 2 of this show, Elevenses with Lisa. And that one was really focused on research plans. It was about how Alice, the genealogist, doesn't fall down the rabbit hole. And then we followed up in episode 39, I think it was at the beginning of the year, we talked about rating your readiness. Are you ready for success? And that kind of gives you a checklist of things to make sure that you know what it is you're going to try to do and that you're ready to go. So it won't take long. Doesn't take long to do this. But I think if you identify your goals, then that's going to help you steer to, okay, what do you need to accomplish those goals? And then you have to evaluate the collections. So one of the best ways to do that is to browse the catalog. But it's kind of a pain if you have to go get free accounts for all these different websites. And what I'm talking about, you can absolutely apply to any genealogy records website, whether it's newspapers or military or whatever it is, postcards. Everybody wants you to have an account. Everybody does. They want your email address. They want, right? It's always about what the website wants. But I have a trick for you. You don't have to have an account to necessarily be able to efficiently evaluate these sites. So I want to show you how. If you don't want a whole bunch of passwords to worry about right now because you're not sure which one you want to use, at Ancestry, you can browse without having a free account. What you're going to do is go to search.ancestry.com. And when you get there, you explore by location. So click Explore by Location because you've already figured out which line you're working on, when and where did they live, right? And then you can click on a place and it will start to tell you and show you all the different collections that are available in that area. Again, 25 billion records is great, but if they don't have anything in Kalamazoo, and that's where your folks are from, doesn't do you any good. So doing this by location really helps. And as you can see from my screenshot here, I am not signed in. So don't let them make you think that you have to have all these passwords for all these sites just to figure that out. You don't. Okay. Number 2, MyHeritage. You can browse them without an account as well. Go to, when I said MyHeritage, FamilySearch. Hello, I can read this morning. I need a cup of coffee. Well, it's Elevenses, right? We always get together and have our tea in our official mug. Wake myself back up. FamilySearch.org, you can go to FamilySearch.org/search, put that in your browser bar, and then when you get there, search by location and just click a place. And you can start to see what all the collections are. Again, notice in the screenshot, I'm not logged in, and yet I can see all the different collections. I can also see really important information. How many records do they really have? So if it's, 10, that's not really impressive, right? That's not usually the case, but look here, and it will also tell you things like, do they have the pictures? Do they have just an index? And now MyHeritage. Okay, so how do you do them without an account? You can go take a look at their collection by going to myheritage.com/research/catalog. And there you can click on a place and refine by location. Again, not logged in. So I hope that helps you, because it's going to make it really quick and easy for you to be able to go and look through the collections, do some searching by location, really see, do they have what you need? And if you want a top item on your list, just put FamilySearch there, because FamilySearch.org is free. There's no reason not to use it all the time. And just like anything else, 3 places is better than 1 if you can get access to it. So FamilySearch is always worth taking a quick look because it's free. If only one of the major subscriptions is within your budget, there are some creative ways to gain access at little or no cost. And so that's how we're going to wrap up today. I want to show you how to do that. One of the top ways you can do it is through a library edition. So go ask your public library, do you have the library editions of these websites? And it's ask more than just Ancestry and MyHeritage. How about newspapers.com or any of the other websites that require subscriptions, Genealogy Bank, all kinds of ones. Ask them. They're usually available on site where you have to go into the library and work with it. However, you might be able to gain access through your library card from home. So ask. It never hurts to ask, right? So talk to your reference librarian and find out, and you will get free access to most of their records. Not all, for sure not all. There's always exclusions. So they can kind of explain that for you if you have questions about that. But you'll certainly get a lot for no cost. And keep in mind, you're not going to be building your tree on the library edition because it's not your account, right? So I'd love to know in the comments, do you have a library card? Have you used it to do this? And are you being able to do it from home? I would love to, and if you are a member of one of the larger libraries and they've said you don't even have to live here, put that in the comments too. And particularly in the comments below the video here at YouTube or the comment section at our show notes page, because that's really going to help other people who are watching find out. Because sometimes particularly the larger libraries will let you do that. Okay, free access through family history centers. So there are they call them affiliate libraries and family history centers. Here's the landing page for FamilySearch. Go check that out because they have an interactive map and you can find out where different centers are located. And oftentimes they will have a lot of the major subscriptions available for free to use, the library edition. I believe it's the library edition typically in their center. I know there have been some changes over time. So maybe if you have an update, you want to put that in the comments, would love to know. But right now, the interactive map is still available on their website, and it's important to click the pin for the location that you want. That'll give you more details about what they really have and what the access is and when you can go in person. Free trials. Yes, you can get free trials at most of these websites, and check out the show notes. We do have affiliate links there, and I'm going to put them in the video description here on YouTube when I get done with this live show. We so appreciate when you use our links just because that means that we get supported and compensated. It doesn't cost you anything, but it helps make this free show available. So definitely a free trial. I just checked them out last night. Looks like you can get about 14 days right now, so that's kind of nice. Usually it's 7 to 14 days free trials. And that'll give you a chance to really explore the whole thing. Remember those free collections I mentioned for you? Well, you can access those anytime. You don't have to have a paid subscription over at Ancestry to take advantage of their free collections. And you can see they have a special search box for it. It will flag them all as free. And in the show notes, I've got a link for you with some step-by-step instructions on how to find that, or you can Google that as well. And MyHeritage has free collections too. So you can check out tinyurl.com/LisaMyHeritage. And the trick there is to, on the landing page, scroll down and click Historical Records. That should take you to where you can look for free and use the free collection. These may require you to go ahead and log in. You can get a free account at any time. You don't even have to have a free trial. You can certainly get the free trial, but that way you can use the records themselves. And here's an idea. These sites, many genealogy sites, make certain collections available for free around the holidays. And there's a lot of holidays to choose from. So if you need marriage records, and you could hold off, go spend your money on a different website, and then look around Valentine's Day, because chances are that site that you had your eye on to get marriage records will have some kind of free access. Same thing around Veterans Day or Memorial Day for military records. So check it out. A great way to keep track of this is follow us on Facebook, or better yet, sign up for my free newsletter at genealogygems.com. We try to notify you of when those free record collections become available. And that's a really good strategy. If you're not in a huge hurry and you've got other things you can work on, start kind of planning things out to take advantage of some of those sites that you don't need the whole site for 6 months, but you'd love it for a weekend. And call for specials. If you have an expired membership with one of these sites, or you need to renew, and you really want a deal, it doesn't hurt to call. Call and ask. I've had people tell me they've had success with this. So at MyHeritage, just click the Contact Us link at the bottom of the page. You'll find the phone number that's right for you. Ancestry, I think that the easiest way is just Google it. Ancestry customer service phone, and call them up and ask them. Tell them that you have an existing account that is not currently active, and you'd like a little incentive to activate it. Doesn't hurt. So let's recap for which genealogy website you should use. First of all, your master family tree is on your computer in a database. That frees you up. It's going to change your paradigm about what you're really locked into and what you have to do. Always use FamilySearch. It's free. That's pretty simple, straightforward. Historical records, that's really the main focus when you really want to get moving forward. So you can go through what we talked about and evaluate for free, even without an account, what they've got. So the answer is that you use the website that has the records that you need when you need it. And you can change that. You don't have to always stick with the same site. Try shorter subscriptions and schedule around the holidays. And be sure as you do this, as you kind of take the reins and take control, download the records as you find them to your computer. Don't just attach them to your tree. Let's say you have a tree on there as well. And it's so tempting. The site is geared to have you attach them, but you need to download them. Please take a moment and go to my website and read the article, If My Ancestry Subscription Expires, What Happens to My Tree? Because that really will help you understand what you lose access to. And you're not going to be able to access records that require a subscription just because they're attached to your tree if you don't have a current subscription. So I have no problem with jumping from one to the other based on what I'm currently doing, but I don't want to lose what I already did. And so that's why we need to put that on our own computer. And start with one site and use my free access checklist to see if you can fill in around it if one is just within your budget. And as I mentioned, if you really want to work on photographs, MyHeritage is really the choice for you, hands down. So that, my friend, I hope has helped answer the question. And I know it'd be really easy if I just said, I'll tell you, it's just this one. But it's not just one. It's really the one at the time that you need it. So I hope that helps you out. I'm excited to jump back in here and see. I'm sure you guys have been very busy in chat. I hope you've been leaving comments. If you liked this, if this was helpful to you, if you heard something you think, oh my gosh, I didn't think about that, would you do a thumbs up on the video? Because that helps tell YouTube that we did something good here. And I hear people talking all about different things, strategies they're using with their different sites. And, people have different experiences. I know things change. So if you hear somebody got something and then now it's not there, well, that definitely happens in the cyber world, doesn't it? And be sure and stay in touch with me through the newsletter. The newsletter is absolutely free, and you get a free bonus little downloadable short ebook with that. Some of my best tips and tricks. So I hope that's unique to the newsletter subscribers. And let's see here. Incredibly helpful. Thank you so much, Tracy. And Barbara, have to rewatch the show. This could be a good refresher every 6 months, right? Come back and take a look, revisit some of these sites, use the strategies. Definitely use the show notes. We work really hard to try to pull those together for you. And again, if you're a premium member, thank you. We love that you're part of our community. And go get your downloadable special ad-free handout on the show notes page for this episode. And some of the videos that we talked about have moved on to the premium archive only. So you'll have access to every single episode that we talked about to kind of back up in terms of some of the things that we've been covering today. Lots to cover. I hope that you're doing great. So the holidays are upon us. Can you believe it? I showed you a picture of our family at Thanksgiving. Gosh, we had a wonderful time. And then, you can't do the timing perfectly. We were missing one person in that photo, and that was my daughter, Hannah, who had just moved out to Florida, but she flew in the next day. So we managed to all get together at a Mexican restaurant, and then I got the weekend with my baby, Hannah. So hang on. So we'll see if she's going to be staying out in Florida. But it's so nice to get everybody together. I know it's a busy time. I think for the upcoming weeks, as we get up into the Christmas holiday and we're going into Hanukkah now, and everybody's got stuff they're doing. So stay in tune with us with the newsletter. I'll let you know. We're going to have either a video or a live show each week, probably shorten them up a little bit. If you're like me, and I'm already way behind on my holiday shopping, you might need a little extra time. So we may not go the full hour for the next couple of weeks. But I know that a lot of the folks on YouTube actually like the shorter videos. So we're going to shorten things up a little bit, but keep them coming. Keep you moving forward and hopefully inspiring you to have even greater success with your genealogy. That's what matters to us here. Thank you so much for watching, my friend. Tell a friend about it, okay? We'll have more friends. I love friends. All right. Bye. Have a wonderful day.